What's for me? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys always, this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast Rolling Stone Magazine describes as one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire bill. Use code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Link from the podcast below. It's our feature presentation for the day. You know, we always focus on rock and metal here, and we're not going to stop doing that. There's times that other artists jump into rock and metal, and we got to hear them out. We got to see what they got. We had Ekoh do that, and I absolutely love that conversation, and now we're going to try it once again. We've got Doobie on the podcast today, coming from his hip-hop roots, from the influence of his dad, and the metal rock roots influence of his mom, combined together to create a brand new album coming out in 2025 that has a lot more of a rock tendency behind it. We talk about how those influences all came into his life, how it all impacted him, how his most recent single at the time of this recording, Early Bird Gets The Whisky, came into fruition, and what other artists is he working with in the rock and metal space? Care to take a guess? Just join us, and you'll find out. Maybe. Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, we are more than happy to jump into anything that is rock and metal here. And there have been times we've had some artists that weren't necessarily in the rock and metal genres that ended up jumping in there anyway. And trust me, it turned out to be pretty damn good. I mean, we brought Ekoh back on in March, and dude's one of my favorite artists to go see live, listen to, and just get a new perspective on the sounds that we hear in music. And today, we're going to go right back into that style. Someone that has been called hip-hop's Kurt Cobain is here with us today with a brand new song called Early Bird Gets The Whisky from his upcoming rock-focused album, which has been made in collaboration with Andrew Bayless of Sleeping with Sirens and Connor Matthews. So get ready for something new, get ready for something good, and for an artist that you may have not heard of yet, but you're going to now. So please welcome Doobie to the podcast. So Doobie, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on, man. How is everything going in your world right now? And I know you're literally in a car at the moment driving to the studio, which I got to say is pretty damn awesome.
I feel terrible about it, though, because normally I'm in a quieter setting and stuff. But
Hey, one of my all-time favorite interviews literally happened like this, where it was with Garrett Russell from Silent Planet. He was picking up his friend from the airport, and his friend held his phone while Garrett drove and answered every question I had for him.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a repeat of that in a completely different way about 2.5 years later. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes. And if once you get to the studio during this conversation, then hey, we get Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we got Wi-Fi. We got Wi-Fi.
Yeah, woohoo with the Wi-Fi. All right, man. So I do want to jump into this right away because taking a look through what I could find on everything you've had, I see you've been releasing music since about 2015, according to Spotify. You've got 4 albums out there, and finally jumping into like the rock sphere of things. So I don't really know much about the history of how you got into all this stuff, what your backstory is, and I want to make sure everyone can know that so that they can easily jump into not only who you are as a person, but who you are as an artist as well. So how did you get all into music? How did you get into hip-hop? And where are all these rock influences coming in now to create a brand new album with a rock focus?
So, I mean, most of the listeners who follow me over the past decade know that I actually blew up and went viral because my music was always either samples of an old rock song or rock influence. I wasn't your average, like, I didn't rap like everyone else. It was very rock influenced. So that's always been there. I have to credit that to my mom. I was raised on rap and metal my whole life. And I think now just where I am in life, I'm 4 years clean from hard drugs. So like I'm not living the crazy drugged out life that I was living in my early rap years. Now I'm a dad. I'm not as, wildly spun. You know what I'm saying? I'm still crazy, but not like in that drugged out sense. So now I was like, yo, where I'm at, I think I should just full send it into this rock space, like instead of having 1 foot in, 1 foot out, let's actually go take it there.
So that makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious, especially from the fact that, you've been clean from hard drugs for 4 years, and just seeing potentially how wanting to make sure that you're fully encapsulated with music, fully encapsulated with your home life, with your personal life, making sure that you're ever present in the moment to make sure you're making the best art possible, but also being the best person that you can to your entire family. That's something that's really inspiring to many people that might be struggling with whatever they're struggling with, whether it's something that is that intense or maybe something that isn't that intense, but they're still struggling with as well. I mean, we all went through the pandemic. We all went through a completely different shift in not only mindset, but way of living. And there's a lot of people that are still struggling to cope with something like that. And they might be turning to stuff that, in that manner. And by being able to potentially connect to your music in that way through your story, not only do we get a greater idea of all the greatness that is in your music, but also inspiration to do better for ourselves.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in growth, and that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, but also I believe in change, man. And I believe that people can do better if they want better.
People can do better if they want to. It's all about taking that first step forward to admitting that, maybe you need change, maybe you want to change, and actually then taking the initiative to do it. And it's absolutely incredible to see when people do that and see the positive impact it has on their lives and the lives of the people around them. And through your music, not only are you able to do that for the people that you're immediately in contact with every single day, but you're able to do that to everybody that gets a chance to listen to your music and just really get in deep with it. I mean, you got a song called When the Drugs Don't Work that has over 115 million views on YouTube. I mean, just a name like that just sets this up for a precedent where not only is the music going to have a very powerful message that we can get behind, but it's also going to be something that we can connect to sonically and really enjoy every time we listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the message at that point in life. It was kind of crazy.
A little bit crazy. And I know you said your mom was the one that really got you into more of the rock and metal side. So how did that all work, especially growing up where she was influencing you to really get into a lot more of this music and then putting samples of it in all of your songs?
My mom, when I was younger, like especially during like the elementary years of my life, my mom was very good friends with numerous rock bands, would have me around all these famous ass rock stars and going to concerts and things like that. So I wanted to be, the first thing I ever wanted to be in my life was a rock star. And then when I got into like my middle school years and teen years, my dad passed when I was 5. So the older I got and the more I started to really need a father, I started to kind of lean into what he was interested in. So I was kind of like going back and studying, just trying to learn out who my father was. And he was real heavy in the hip hop and, even rapped at one point. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to start, dibbling and dabbling. I started writing poems and it kind of turned into rap. So I kind of like was like, yo, I'm a rock star, but I'm actually good at this rapping thing. So how can I kind of like do that, but in a rap way? Because at that time, hip hop was the biggest genre. It was just easier to fall into, especially with the friends that I had, in middle school and high school.
Oh, I can agree with you on that too. For me, it was rather easy potentially getting more of the hip hop and rap realm, especially in middle school, just given what was popular at the time, what people were really getting into. Rock and metal really wasn't something that was as prominent in my like younger years in terms of the kids I hung around with. But my parents were definitely more into it. And everyone kind of, especially in middle school, kind of shied away from me when Guitar Hero came out. And all of a sudden, it's like I started listening to Disturbed a whole shit ton. So I get where you're coming from there. So I understand why it's a lot easier to potentially jump into that. But at the same time, having this constant connection with rock music, always having this connection with your mom and being able to meet so many other artists, be around so many other artists and get the inspiration from there. When it came to creating your music with having that rock inspiration behind it and always having it there, that's just a blend of styles that come from both your mom's influence and your dad's influence, and it's all amalgamated within you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, I remember being younger and one of my first concert was Kiss when I was 5. I don't remember that, but I guess that's where it all started with me, was with Kiss. I wanted to be Paul Stanley so bad. And that's what kicked everything off for me as a child. And it's so wild to me because my mom would have me around like Soil, Seven Dust, Drowning Pool, Def Leppard, Tesla. I'd be around all these bands as a kid. Me and Jeff Tate, the singer of, or not Jeff Tate, Jeff Tate, the singer of Queensryche, I believe. Jeff, what the fuck is his last name? Singer of Tesla. We're backstage throwing the football before his concert and shit like that. It's just always been awesome. Like, that was just what I wanted to be, all these guys.
Well, just hearing the names you brought up, too, it was like, you bring up Tesla, Soil, Queensryche, and then when you said Seven Dust in there, my first thought was, every time I hear Seven Dust and having influence on people, it's only ever for the positive if you've gotten to meet them and get to know them. So that positive influence of Seven Dust definitely has had some effect on you, I can tell.
Let me say this, too, about Seven Dust. Full circle moment. Okay. My mom was close to the Lowry brothers very many years ago when she was in her heyday, Clint and Corey. But she also just loves LJ. LaJon is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. But full circle moment, me and LaJon are actually working on some stuff right now, and it's just kind of wild to me being, that 8-9-year-old boy who like being a fan of theirs, and then now the full circle being able to work with them. It's just phenomenal for me.
Dude, that is absolutely wild to have to be able to, meet someone back when you're 8, 9 years old, to have them not only have a lot of influence on you, but then as you're really coming up in this whole entire musical world, getting your feet, especially more into the rock and metal side of things, that you're working on stuff with LJ. And out of anybody, I'm like, when I hear Ed's like work with LJ or work with, the Lowrys, or even if with Morgan Rose or anybody else from Seven Dust, it's like, it's always going to be great. It's always going to be fantastic. And funny enough, to add to that full circle moment, right now, technically, I should be at my full-time job, but I'd much rather be talking with you. The first time I ever did that, skip out of work to talk to someone on the podcast was with LJ.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
awesome. Yeah.
So
he's an amazing person.
Yeah. So by skipping out and doing this with you, it's just like, okay, this has to be fate at some point in time.
Crazy.
It's just wild. And when you were a kid, I always love story time here. I love to have people share stories. Is there a story of when you were a kid hanging out with all these rock and metal bands that just stands out to you as like one of the best stories that you could possibly imagine, or one of the most impactful moments of your life?
Yeah, there was a couple moments. So, here in the city where I'm from is Columbus, Ohio, right? And there was a venue here by the name of Alrosa Villa, and my favorite guitar player, one of them ever, Dimebag Darrell, that's actually where he was killed at. And that was the first place I ever sold out in my city.
Really?
Yeah, and then shortly we did about 3-4 sold out shows there coming up, and they finally bulldozed the whole building, so I can't never go back to it. But I'll just never forget being a kid. I lived in a trailer park, and when it came on the news that Dimebag had got murdered, and then 10, 13 years later, I'm selling out the same venue, and I just remember when he had got killed, I was like, wow, not Dimebag, So that was definitely another one of them surreal moments. I got to write him a letter in the bathroom on the wall, like every band that's been there. That was kind of a not really a cool moment, but at the same time, it was really so real. And then obviously when I was backstage with Tesla and Def Leppard, we're all hanging, and they just showed me nothing but love as a kid. It was cool.
But to hear just the fact that you sold out the same venue that where Dimebag Darrell unfortunately passed away, 13 years after or after the fact, that is one of those insane stories of surrealness. Like you said, it's something where not only had an artist like that and a guitarist like that absolutely heavily impacted your life and had a moment where you still took a step back and had a sense of disbelief when he ended up passing away, but then being able to go on your own musical journey after learning about so many artists, connecting with so many artists, having so much influence in rock and metal music from your mom, learning about your dad and getting so much influence from hip hop and rap from your father's influence, and putting it all together and selling out the place and doing it multiple times before its eventual, demise. That is just the insane moments of life where we look back and know whatever we're doing, it's like, this is what we're meant to do. This is what makes us happy.
Yeah.
This is where we need to continue on. And if you ever question, am I doing the right thing? Should I continue doing this? That's the moment where you got to realize, oh yeah, I'm meant for this.
It's so wild to me because there's another venue in our city that's very legendary. It's called the Newport Music Hall. Numerous bands have performed there. But the scaredest I ever been from a band as a child, I probably was again around that 7 to 9 range. My mom took me to see Mushroom Head, and the singer at the time, he had like this clown face, and he was just shaking his face, and there's like blood everywhere. And I was so terrified of them. I was like, dude, these guys are scary, Mom. I don't know if this is for me, And then later to be able to perform at Newport, again, sell it out. I always look for those things, like where I was at as a kid, and then be able to do the same thing with these bands. Tantric was another band that my mom used to love to listen to, and one of my biggest songs, I sampled Breakdown and did a rap rock version of Breakdown. And on the 20th anniversary, I got to perform it with Tantric. And so that was a big moment for me as well.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah. Hugo Ferreira is one of my closest friends, love him, great human. And yeah, that was another full circle moment. I think what I focus on now, like in my space in the rock space, is where it all started for me, I think that's what I love about it, being able to, it's kind of like the reassurance of, hey, everything I did want to be as a kid, now this is it,
It's not only like a reassurance of everything you wanted to be as a kid, but it's also I don't know how to exactly describe it, but it's more like a affirmation of the fact that if you want to go and do something in life, if you're passionate about it, if you've always been passionate about it your entire life, it is absolutely worth going for and going after. Just the fact that whenever you're making music, especially with the rock and metal side of things, if you're always going back to those moments when you were a kid, when you had, very little responsibility, when it seemed like the world was all out in front of you, where the best things in life or whatever you're doing at that moment are just being the best person, the happiest person possible, you can always go back to that and think about that, put that in your music, and it allows us as listeners to, reflect on that and remember some of that stuff ourselves, because we do that with music all the time too. There's certain songs that I listen to that I remember of like when they first came out, or I remember the most impactful time in my life when I heard it. This could have even been a couple of years ago. It could have been back when I was in high school. Heck, there's still like Disturbed songs I listen to, and I still laugh at times when I listen to the song Deceiver off of Indestructible, because I remember when I was right about that song was about to come on a little CD, my 8th grade teacher took it out of the CD player and told me that I was a child of the devil and I was not of God. And I was like, well, this is going to be funny, and sent a note home with me for my parents to read and sign, saying how evil it was for me to listen to this music. So like, I have I have those moments too, and we all love to do that, but it also gave me a chance to look back to and think, you know what, this whole entire rock and metal thing, this actually was for me too. It may take me a while to get here, but it was for me too. And it connects me to the point in time, the kids of times, maybe if things weren't good, but something that was always been positive in life. Could be the same thing for any of you that are out there. Can be music, can be something else. But man, if we go back to the times when we were kids and reflect on it, it's a beautiful thing.
You just brought back an amazing memory. For a short period of my life in my elementary years, I went to a Catholic school, right?
Yeah.
And my mom, she's such a rock star. She'd pull up to drop me off at school, all the other kids going in and stuff. And she's banging down with the sickness, windows down, as loud as possible. Or, no, mommy, don't do it. Get out there. And all these kids are like, what is going on with them? And it's a Catholic school. All the nuns and stuff are outside. Like, I don't think he's supposed to be showing up like
Yeah, because like when I was at a Catholic school too, and I went to a Catholic school my entire time when I was in school. So that definitely impacted some of those things. I still remember there was like a project for our music class. They wanted like, oh, pick a song about like an artist and see if it has like a deeper Christian message. And I was trying, because I knew David Draymond was Jewish, I was trying to find a song that had a deeper connection to his Jewish roots and actually bring that up. They wouldn't let me do it because they're like, oh no, Disturbed is evil music. Did you hear Down with the Sickness and like the bridge of it? I'm like, yeah, I'm not bringing up that song because clearly it's not fitting what you want, but yeah, I'm well aware.
Yeah, I think we're all well aware.
Yeah, but it's just crazy seeing how much music not only has impacted us as kids, but then bringing that energy and bringing that passion and bringing that positivity for life into what we're doing now in music, whether it's creating music or just me talking about it with you. It's something that a lot of people, I hope, can take into account, whether they want to be musicians, are inspired to make music, or are inspired to do something else in life.
Long way, as long as you take it with a grain of salt and know that as long as you put in the work, you could be every bit of who your idols are. It's crazy.
It's crazy, and once you know how much work it took to be, to get to that point in time. Trust me, it ain't easy. It definitely isn't easy, because if it was easy, everyone would do it and everyone would succeed in it. But if you put in all that work and you don't stop with it, if you're always tenacious about it, always trying to get better, and always have that passion for it, somewhere down the line, something's going to click. Something's just going to hit, because you're so focused in on it, you're going to end up finding your way. It's not going to be the most straight and narrow way. You're going to have a bunch of twists and turns. You might go backwards, way behind, but if you just keep at it, some way you're going to go forward and you're going to make it.
Yep. You got to believe. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. So
yeah, I can't remember what the quote was, but it was something like, "He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right." If you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to believe in you? If you don't
100%.
believe in your music, who else is going to believe in your music? Because why would they? I recently had Jaali Cypher, he used to do some hip hop stuff, but he's the lead singer for Until I Wake now. We were talking about their brand new album Renovate and how he wanted to be a no skip album. And he's like, if any of us didn't like a song that was going on the record, we would cut it, because that means that out of 5 guys, if one person doesn't like it, 20% of the people don't like it. And that's people that are making the music. If 20% of the people making the music aren't into it, what is everyone else going to think?
Yeah. But then too, on the flip side, you have the moments, right, where artists, the song that artists don't think will be their biggest one ends up being the biggest one. So it's not really an algorithm, but I do understand that, you got to be confident in what you're putting it out.
Yeah, you have to be confident what you're putting out, but in order to be confident in what you're putting out, also at the same time, you've got to feel it at some point in time. If you're not feeling it, and if you're really disconnected to it, then it might be a big song, but can you really put it out?
You're not going to want to push it, yeah.
So we'll just jump into something completely different, which is something even more important, which is not only the brand new song you have out, Early Bird Gets the Whisky, but the new rock album that you're making. And when it comes to making this album and working with these songs, I know you said you're working with LaJean Witherspoon, but also you worked with Andrew Bayless from Sleeping with Sirens, and of course Connor Matthews as well. So when it came to making these new songs,
was Andrew Sleeping with Sirens?
That's what I believe so. That's what it said on the press release that I had.
I don't know. I don't know if he was actually in the band or not.
Or maybe he's
a
phenomenal
producer.
Did he work with them? Because when I brought that up, I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. But this is the beauty of me actually sitting down at a computer.
Yeah, I think he's definitely worked with them. I mean, they're all buddies. So.
He worked with them, and he also performed in the band Nine Shrines. So
yeah, Nine Shrines for sure.
So my bad. He's worked with Sleep with Sirens, but
I was like, how did I not know that? And this is my homie.
that I'm gonna blame the press release for not being too clear on that one, and also blame myself because I've definitely heard the name before. I know he's produced, and I'm like, wait a minute, something doesn't make sense here. So I'm writing it down, but
I just
I'm gonna
didn't want
blame.
to feel bad. I was like, dang, how did I not know this? And this is literally my boy.
Don't worry, I made for potentially you feeling bad to me being like, oh my god, how the hell did I mess that up? But going back into what the actual like crux of the question was, creating this rock album, working with Andrew Bayless and working with Connor Matthews as well to create this whole entire thing. How was that overall experience, and what did you guys come up with during these sessions?
So first session, they actually came to Columbus. Bayless needed to change the scenery. I had never met Connor, but that first day, that was the first time I met Connor. And we had an idea of the type of rock music that we thought we were going to make. And we did a little song the first day to everyone getting acquainted. It was cool. It was still more rappy, you know. Next day, we came in and made Early Bird Gets the Whiskey. Second day, recording together. And then we were like, oh, we might actually have something a little better than what we were anticipating and what we were expecting. And then from that moment, it was like, okay, now we know that we could take it there, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that, because you actually are seeing the fact that, you know, even when it comes to working, you know, one song at first just to get acquainted, but then creating what ends up being, you know, your first single off of this whole entire venture into more rock and metal as an expected genre, you know, why not give it a shot? And if you're seeing that overall positive return, not only from when the song comes out, but also from how you're connecting the song, how you're feeling about it, and how it's working together with all of these other people. Now you've got something. Now you're starting to see where the ideas can flow, where the style is going to come from, and where that core sound, especially you've already cultivated for yourself, can grow within a much different capacity.
We wrote, it's this building right here, sir. We wrote, produced, and recorded that whole record in 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yes. That's some shit I just can't make up.
3
hours. That song was written, produced, and recorded.
That is pretty damn impressive.
Honestly, blew my mind. Hold on, let me turn off this alarm. Woo!
Yeah, we don't need an alarm going off and all of a sudden having, you know, police officers show up and being like, why are you in here? I'm sorry to turn off the alarm. I'm talking to some dude from Wisconsin. My bad.
Yeah, my fault. I had to turn the alarm off. We don't want to.
No, we don't want that because, you know, trying to clean up that audio too in the background might be a little annoying.
But okay, we're good. Hopefully the video is a lot better now.
Oh, the video is a lot better. The audio is still pretty much the same, which is still a good thing. But yeah, the video is a lot more crisp. So
okay, cool. Well, we're here, man.
We're here after a half hour of interview in a car, and that's about as long as the Silent Planet one took. So you and Garrett Russell are right on the same wavelength with that.
All right, good.
But I'm still amazed by the fact that it only took 3 hours to write, record, and just get this thing entirely together. But when you have a song that everyone believes in, and it's just everything is flowing and hitting on all the right cylinders, why not maximize out on that and just keep going on it? And if it gets done in 3 hours, it gets done in 3 hours. If it gets done in 3 days, as long as it works, it works.
Yeah, I will say this. I didn't even think it was achievable to do that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even think that would be achievable. I was like, no way we just did that in only 3 hours.
But still, it's nuts. And now I want to jump into the song because I want to get more people to know about it and get more people to know about how your hip hop style that you've been working with for quite some time, and with all the rock sims you're putting in there, how this is all from now more of a full rock style with what your core sound is. So when it came to Early Bird Gets the Whiskey, when you were creating it and when you were writing the lyrics for it specifically, what was the inspiration, the idea you had in mind to really make this song pop the way that it did?
Okay, so remember how I said the night before it was just kind of everyone getting acquainted?
Yep.
By acquainted, I think I meant drunk. And so the next day, you know, we had a session in the afternoon. We all literally woke up still drunk. I mean, it was literally like, dude, I feel like crap, man. Let's make a cool song. And I was like, dude, why don't we just say that? Like, yo, I woke up still drunk. And that's kind of where we started with it.
That actually makes a lot of sense. And now the name of the song makes it even better because, hey, if early bird gets the worm, it's like, hey, we want to get drunk and you want to start day drinking.
That's exactly what it was.
The fastest way to get drunk at the beginning of a day is to get drunk the night before and have it carry over.
Yeah. And then so literally we were all like, man, we feel like crap. And I had the song title already for a couple months. I was sitting on the Early Bird Gets the Whiskey. But when we're sitting there talking, I was like, this is kind of becoming more difficult than I thought. Maybe we should just drink because we're all hungover. You know what I'm saying? And we all was like, okay, yeah. Start drinking again. And I was like, yes, this is perfect. Early Bird Gets the Whiskey. We all woke up drunk. And then from then and so forth, it was like, that's it. Run with that.
You took the full entire, like, Archer style idea of I can't stop drinking because if I do now, the collective hangover will probably kill me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn, well, I guess if there's I'll say there's plenty of ways to make a great song and get inspired to make a great song. So if anyone's out there is like, hey, let's get so drunk and then keep drinking the next day and try and write a song, give it a shot. I'm not sure if it's going to turn out like Early Bird Gets the Whiskey, but you never know.
Well, hold on. I don't want to say it like, hey, do that. I'm saying this, right? Here's the thing that songwriters and musicians, I don't think understand enough, right? When you walk into that room, I'm real big on this. That first idea that comes to your head is usually the one you should roll with. And so if it is a situation where, hey, what are we writing about? I don't know, dude. I'm still hungover. I woke up still drunk. Bingo. There it is. Run with that first idea. I'm telling you, it's you'll make the best music. You don't have to think so much. That first thought is usually the one to run with.
Now I'm really glad I asked the question or put that in that way because then we got that response out of it. And I think that's something that a lot of people really need to hear, not only from a musician aspect, but any kind of creative aspect that you're in. Even like when it came to creating the podcast, it was like, what am I going to call this thing? I don't know. And I said, just pick a name that just first comes to mind because it's not going to matter if it's the perfect name. What matters is what you put behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So then when it came to, I got to ask a little bit further in what Early Bird Gets with. So when it comes to, you're thinking about, okay, what do I want to write about? And it's, well, I woke up drunk, and that's what you end up writing about. When it came to expanding on that idea and the lyrics and the meaning that is behind Early Bird Gets the Whiskey, how did that all come to fruition to become the full song that it is today?
So, like I said, I had like a list of song titles, and that I had showed Bayless and Connor the night before. And since that was our first session the night before, we didn't really want to focus on those song titles. We just wanted to kind of build the chemistry and see what we could get going. And so the next day when we all woke up feeling like that, out of all the song titles, obviously the one that was the most relatable was the Early Bird Gets the Whiskey, and everyone was like, yeah, that's how we're feeling. That's what we need to write. And so Connor's just so amazing. He's like this melodic angel child, he's a songbird. I don't know where to start, coming up with these melodies, and you'll just be like, dude, what? Like, what? And then so he kind of had this little skeleton of a melody that we kind of ran with, and we just started putting the words to the melody. And like I said, it was just easy. We just ran through it. It was easy.
It makes sense that it was easy because even listening through the song and listening through the melody that was created for this, it has that flow of it has that melodic flow where it's like you're not fully there, but it's also kind of like you're trying to hide from something at the same time too.
Yeah.
And listening through the lyrics too, and listening through how you create your overall vocal pattern from the verses to the pre-chorus to the chorus on this, it really feels like at times where a song really goes with this, especially from my interpretation of it, it's like when we drink so much or we consistently drink, it's not necessarily because we want to party or we want to just do it because we enjoy it. It's because we're trying to put a pause on something in life. We're trying to put a pause on like the pain or the anguish that we feel. And trying to put a pause on it, we're not only pausing that part of our feelings, but we're pausing our life entirely and we're not going forward. We're not going backwards. We're staying stagnant. And as the world keeps moving on without us, we're going to stay in that same spot. And it's going to put us further behind where we actually want to go in life. It's kind of feels like it's about hiding from actually facing what is in front of you versus, you know, I want to stay away from it. I just don't want to feel any pain. So I'm going to drink it away. And if I wake up drunk, I can just keep doing it again.
I think too, a level of it is owning your bender. You know, like, hey, dude, yeah, I probably shouldn't have got that drunk last night, but let's keep drinking. You know, like, that's how I feel right now.
Yeah,
you know?
And the beauty of it is it's music. You can take it either way. You can take it the way that it's a little bit more serious than the way that I took it, or you can take it a little bit more on the kind of like tongue-in-cheek way that you just described it as well. It's the beauty of music. We can connect with it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's all about maybe how we see the subject matter. It's all about how we interpret the lyrics. But when we connect to it in that way, we can have two different opinions on the song, two different takes on it, but it can hit us as impactfully at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
So beyond Early Bird Gets the Whiskey, what else have you been working on with these guys? And are there any other intricacies or any other surprise that we can expect, especially coming out of this new album?
Well, outside of, obviously, I mentioned LeJean.
Yeah.
I've got some pretty big surprises, some more full circle moments that I'm not going to announce yet. It'll be more on the album. But I can announce one because he's already done a couple interviews saying that we're working. I ain't going to say what we've been working on. Okay. But shout out to Josie Scott from Saliva. We've got some pretty cool things coming, to say the least.
Damn. So we've got Josie Scott, because Josie Scott has already talked about it in a couple of interviews. We got you saying that you're working with LJ from Seven Dust on a couple of things. Now I feel like for me to try and figure this out, it's like I gotta start just making guesses, and I can guess as wacky and as randomly as possible. And I could be right, I could be wrong. But the beautiful part about it is we're all gonna be curious to see what's coming next, you know?
Oh man, I'm so excited. I ain't gonna lie, I'm so excited.
Because now I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, who else could you be working with? Could you be working with the guys from Tesla? Could you be working with we could be working with Def Leppard for something? Who knows? Can we have a full circle moment where you're going to be writing a song about going to school and it's going to feature David Draymond on it? I don't know, but how insane would that be if that's where the inspiration came from? And in the end of it, it's just there's some beautiful part with David Draymond singing on it, or going a little bit more of the unclean style that he can do, a little more of the prophetic style that he can do. Just
I'm gonna put it like this: it's David. I'm not working with David Draymond, but he has a very popular song right now with a very popular band, and let's just say the band that he's worked with recently. Let's just say I'm working with that band. I'm not gonna name it, but yeah, keep guessing.
Oh, well, when you say that, I'm like, okay, so what popular song could be there? And I know we did one on their most recent album with Heart, so it's like it could be that. The one that I'm thinking of for sure, which I know you're not gonna say if it's right or wrong, but the one I'm thinking of is Nothing More.
That's a great guess.
That's a great guess.
I'm not going to tell you if it's them or not, but that I figured you were going to say that.
Oh, I was absolutely going to say, I've got a friend who's like, she loves Nothing More almost more than anything else in the world when it comes to music. The only band she likes more than Nothing More is Bring Me the Horizon. So it's just like...
Also, oh yeah, shout out to Ali. I literally got his clothing brand on right now.
I'll say, look at that, even more full circle moments. But if there's something in there with you and Nothing More, I'm going to be like, holy shit, this is going to be incredible. And I don't even know what else is going to be out there besides that, too. Can we get a random Corey Taylor moment on one of these things? I don't know, but it could happen.
I would love that. Who wouldn't love that?
Alrighty, well, now that's going to take me into another question that's literally built around what we were just talking about. So, with all of your experience and influence from the rock and metal world, from being a kid, everything you've been a part of it, and now making music and working with artists in the rock and metal space and working alongside them, which artists or which people in the rock and metal world are you wanting to work with or on your like most wanted list to work with?
Most wanted list?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, obviously Nothing More. I feel like they've been just absolutely crushing it. The that If It Doesn't Hurt record's doing really well. I just seen they released like top 100 rock and metal songs played this year, and I think they were at number 5. So
If It
shout
Doesn't
out
Hurt,
to
has
them.
to be up there in like the top 10 for sure. It's such a good song.
it was number 5, and then shout out to number 6, another band that I would love to work with, Beartooth, Ohio boys, you know, through and through. I'm always gonna ride for my Ohio boys. And then I think Bad Omens is super up there on the list because, dude, I just love them. Like, I just love them.
But it's just hearing the 3 that you said, Nothing More, Beartooth, and Bad Omens. When it comes to modern metal, when it comes to the bands that are really gaining a lot of traction, you've got Nothing More, definitely more of the rock metal blend, but they're consistently growing every single year. There is no stopping them. Wanting to work with Beartooth, Caleb Shomo, the rest of the guys, Ohio, born and bred, Columbus, Ohio even too. So that's more of like a hometown connection. And with what they were able to do with the Surface record back in 2023, bringing positivity back to metal, it blew them up in a way that they had not ever really had up to that point or expected. So now they're more kind of wanted than ever, and being able to get that kind of energy, whether it's from more the aggressive anger that was on their previous records or more of this aggressive upbeat positivity that's on their new record, it could absolutely fit. But Bad Omens, they can go in any direction they want with their sound. Crazy. And it's going to work. So if all of a sudden you're doing like a hip-hop influence rock song of your own and all of a sudden you hear a little drop of Noah Sebastian in there, holy shit.
And then also, we got to throw in Wage War. I'm sorry, I forgot. We have to throw in Wage War. We have to. They're sick.
Well, shit, I don't know if when it comes to Wage War, what would you rather have more? Just have them featured on a song or make like a whole record with Cody?
Yeah, Cody's so sick.
Well, it seems like almost every record that's come out in like the past 3 years, especially more of that metalcore space, has had his influence on it at some point in time.
He's crushing it. I mean, he also, from my understanding too, he does a lot of things behind the scenes with a lot of other artists as well. And, you know, that's where that sound's coming from. He's got his hands everywhere from my understanding, you know?
Yeah, when it comes to, I'm trying to think of some of the bands that I know he's worked with, like from behind the scenes in the past. And the one that's just sticking out in my head, because it's the only one I can think off the top of my head right now, is Memphis May Fire.
Yeah.
So I worked on him with their Remade in Misery album in 2022, and they're coming out with a new one in 2025. And I'm pretty sure he's going to have his hands on some of that as well.
I feel like he's worked with Falling in Reverse too, no? Or am I? Maybe I'm.
No, I'm pretty sure you're right. I'm pretty sure you worked with them. I know on the Zombified single. I'm not sure if there's any other songs, but I know Zombified, Cody was a part of that, because when that song, when Zombified came out, it was like, then Falling in Reverse literally went on tour and Wage War was direct support.
Yeah, and shout out to Falling in Reverse. They're crushing it. I mean, Ronnie, outside of everything that all these people had against him and all these opinions and whatever you want to talk about or whatever you want to say, you can't deny the fact that he's crushing it, and that's it. You know, that's all I'll talk about.
I'm going to have to tilt my camera because you'll say, you can tell there's no denying it.
Yeah, see, yeah.
There's that.
I like the genre bending aspect. Anybody who's willing to mesh, you know, more than one genre, but do it still to where, like how he did it, it's still so metal and just so in your face. It's just cool as hell to me. Like I love it, especially like he's rapping, but like yeah. It's so cool, man. It's just so cool.
Yeah, it's when you're able to blend genres, but deliver in a way that only you can deliver it. So like even with yourself, and again, listening to early Bird Gets the Whiskey with some of the hip hop patterns in your vocals, especially in the verses and how it's delivered, it creates this whole entire aura around the song. And then when you get to the chorus, it expands on it in a much different capacity with a different vocal pattern that has a lot more of a rock influence in there. But it's the delivery of it that shows how much of this genre bending can work and genre blending can work. Falling in Reverse is a great example of it as well. Another great example, I already mentioned them, and you're wearing Ollie's shirt, so I'm going to bring up Ollie again. Bring Me the Horizon.
I
There's
love
no
Bring Me the
genre that Bring Me
Horizon.
the Horizon can't go into. If they wanted to do a jazz fusion song, they could make it work.
You know who else I really been getting into a lot lately? And this might be a little, I don't, for some people it can be a stretch, but to me, I don't really care. I really have been digging Kim Dracula.
That's not much of a stretch, but I got to ask why.
I love how he's bending the genres. Like you'll hear this EDM element out of nowhere, and then it'll just get heavy, and then you'll hear like an 808, and you'll be like, I'm going through this emotional roller coaster right now. I don't want it to stop though. You know what I'm saying? It feels like that.
I had to ask because I know there's like people that really like Kim Dracula, people that don't. I'm a little more on the indifferent side of it, but yeah. I'm always curious if you're going to bring up an artist that they're really getting into. Never be mad about it. My only question is you got to give me the reason behind it because I'm going to be curious.
Yeah, man. I love artists who use multiple, forms of music. Like for example, in a couple of his records, there'll be a trumpet come out of nowhere, and you're like, "What the hell?" Like, it's just cool to me. I like random, weird, and different. Like anything that's like that, I just love it.
Yeah, that's why I interviewed a band right at the end of 2024 for an album. The band was called One Morning Left out of Finland. And listen to their album. It was like take metalcore and mix it with synthwave and 80s hair metal.
Oh, hey.
Dude, it's upbeat, it's intense, but it's also one of the most fun things I've listened to all of 2024. So that's another one where it's like blending genres these are ones that are a little bit more closely connected together. But when you still can do it in a way that's unique, that's impactful, but amplifies all the aspects of what you want to do and of each individual genre, man, you got a winner right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can appeal to multiple audiences, essentially.
Essentially, you can, and especially with what you're going into with this brand new album, I'm hoping that people see it the same way and you're able to appeal to not only the audience that you've already cultivated for yourself, but a brand new audience as well that may have never heard of who you are and just are going to get to know who you are and get into who you are as well.
Yeah, because people like multiple things, man. I feel like we're not in as much of a one-dimensional world as we used to be in, People are experimenting and it's hard to find something new because everything's already been done. So now the new thing is like, we have to kind of blend genres and do things that haven't been done as much just because we've already had the rap rock thing and new metal, but like, how do we make that new again? You know what I'm saying? Like what will change it from what's already happened? It's difficult not to repeat history because everything's already been done 1,000 times in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right. And kind of bringing up new metal too is a great way to look at it because the way when new metal was created, it's like the way that the rapping was done, especially over the metal side of things, it had a different flow to it versus what is popular in metal today. What bands like Bring the Horizon, what Bad Omens, Wage War are doing. I'm trying to think of some other bands. I mean, I still love We Came as Romans, what they're doing. But it's like, okay, it's like that sound is going to become its own thing and they're constantly mixing their sounds up too. So what can we do with their kind of core sound and maybe blend into that, mix up with that? Are we going to get EDM, or as I put it, as ED metalcore at one point in time? Are we going to get something like that to come up? Who knows?
I feel like that's very popular right now. The EDM ambient, special effects sound, I think that's very popular in rock and metal right now.
The special effects sound is popular, but I'm wondering if we're going to get a more like a different blend that's a lot more heavily contrasting each style. So it's a little bit more jagged, but at the same time, a lot more pronounced when you're going from one style to the next, because that quick cut of a flow can really change up a song on a dime and really amplify whatever emotion you're feeling at that time.
Yeah, I agree.
We might get it. We'll see what happens. But I do want to ask you this, Doobie. We're going into 2025. I know there's a lot yet to come from you. What else can we expect from you in 2025?
So top of the year, we're gonna release the second single of the album. The plan is by the end of March to have the project wrapped up and ready to go, like ready to be released by then. And then we're going to hit the road sometime middle of next year. So right now that's the goal. And and that's we're gonna try to stick to that as much as possible.
Well, I hope you're able to stick to it. So not only can you get all this music out to everybody, but also get on the road and get to deliver this to everybody that wants to be able to see it. And even if they're not sure about it, still go and check it out anyway, because you might as well try it. You never know if you're going to like it or not unless you try it.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely. I got one more question before we wrap this up. It's something I love to ask every single artist I bring to the podcast as a way for us to get to discover new music continuously and for you to get to promote the music that you love. So I'm going to ask you for 3 of these. Can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
That I would love to see more people get into?
Yep.
Ooh. That's actually really good question. Wow.
I got to close out with a banger, right?
Yeah, what a banger. Damn, it's tough because like it's so easy to name these bands that already are so well known. I would say this: 7 Hours After Violet. Love Chavo. Love So Morgoth's a good buddy of mine. Taylor's voice is just we already know he's phenomenal. 7 Hours After Violet. Off the top of my head, right now I'm just gonna say that because that's the only one I can think of right now off the top of my head that may not be as known, but they're so dope to me.
Hey, that's okay. I asked for 3. You gave me 1. You gave me at least something to really get into. And I will go behind that too, because I've had Taylor on the podcast before. I had him on in May of 2024. And yeah, his voice is nuts. So definitely go check it out.
Yeah.
Well, Doobie, I'm going to wrap this up by saying this. 1, thank you for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to make sure we do 3 things for you. First things first, when it comes to your music, when it comes to the new music you're coming out with, when it comes to seeing you play live, when it comes to connecting with you on everything, everybody, I want you to go script to the podcast, say find Doobie online, links, labels for everything are going to be down there. Social media, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you need. It's going to be down there for you, not only stay in contact with the guy, know what's going on, but at the same time, make sure you listen to the new songs, know what's coming out next, and seeing him play live. Now it's time for number 2, man. Whenever I'm guesting the podcast or I enjoy the podcast, I tend to make a promise as a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I want to continue to support you in the future. And man, this is my promise because it kind of goes along with the song Early Bird Gets the Whisky really well. The promise is when I get to see you perform live for the first time, I will find you. I will come and say hi. But man, first round's on me.
Let's go! You better keep that promise because the second round is definitely on me.
And then we're gonna wake up and be like, shit, we're still drunk.
Yep, that part. And there'll be an Early Bird Gets the Whiskey part 2.
Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. What's the Electric Boogaloo part? Kevin staggering home.
All right, man. All right, I appreciate your time too, man. It means the world, man.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now it's time for number 3. I cannot end this episode by saying goodbye. That is way too final. Plus, man, this was a hell of a conversation. I would love to be back on again in the future to see how much you grow as an artist and how much more the rock and metal scene continues to get into you. So this is not goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
Yes, sir.
Woo! Well, folks, my interview with Doobie, and now it's time for Kevin's final thought. And you know what? I'm absolutely floored about seeing more people get into the rock and metal space. Artists from all over the place dipping their toes or diving feet first fully into the rock and metal space. I absolutely love it. And the reason I like it is because for so long we heard rock is dead, metal is dead, and we just kept seeing the same stuff over and over and over again. And since around, I want to say, of course, it's the pandemic being a huge marker of that, but probably since around 2017, 2018, we're starting to see more of a shift and a lot more of interesting rock and metal music, especially coming to the forefront and becoming bigger in pop culture as well. And now those artists that were in other aspects of pop culture are popular, typically hip hop and rap, are jumping into the rock and metal space and seeing what they can do with it in there. We're seeing Doobie do that. We've seen someone like Ekoh do that, and Ekoh do it very, very well. We're seeing bands try many different things, and I absolutely love it because the more creativity that's there, the more ideas that come out, and the more people try, the greater music we get, the greater, overall proc we get, and we just enjoy it more. And plus, we love rock and metal. We want to see more people get into it and want to see the genre grow. How's it going to grow if we stifle it? Let's not stifle it. Let's let it grow. I want to thank Doobie for coming on the podcast today. Please go and follow the guy online. Links and labels in the description of the podcast below. Social media, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you need to get into Doobie, it's down there for you. Also, be sure to follow along with the Chord Progression Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Links to the podcast below. Hit subscribe right down here. If you're on YouTube, hit the follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to like the episodes as well because, hey, algorithm, baby. You got to help push us in it, right? Get more people to know about these episodes and more people to know about the great bands that are coming up, and the best ones are out there right now, and artists too, as well. I said as too, but, as well. I want to thank Doobie, and that's going to be for neighbor. Thank you very much for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one. That was a big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!